Well, hello and welcome everyone. Thanks for joining me. Mrs. Davis, if you're watching, please understand what you may or may not see. I'm just going to be honest with you, honey. I think the Chinese communists have hacked this computer. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, thanks again everyone for joining me. I had to come on here a little late because the internet is melting down. Yes, thanks to Tucker Carlson and the alleged crack smoking gay lover of former President Barack Obama. Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about that. But as always, bear with me. I'm going to go to the old classic split screen here. Try to stay up in the microphone. Let's see what happens here. Boom, look at that. Always like to start off the night by showing you what these jackals have done to us. As you can see in the upper left corner, this is a live feed of the U.S. debt clock. And as always, I'll put these links in the description below, or I should say, I'll add all of these links to the description below this video. Okay. Boy, I didn't think I'd be this nervous. But anyway, over the days, weeks, and months, and years, hopefully, we'll be building rapport. And you'll find out why you should pray for Mrs. Davis every night. She's a great woman, and why in the world she decided to marry me. I'll never know, but honey, thank you so much. But yes, the U.S. national debt, $32 trillion. As I speak, $32 trillion. And as you can see, she's running up. But as always, let's go down, shall we? I don't want to depress you right out of the gate here, but I always like to look at this one. The bottom right-hand corner, if you're playing along at home, it's the usdebtclock.org. The U.S. unfunded liabilities. Oh my geez, look at that. $193 trillion. Yeah, get your head around that. We got a lot of work to do, but we're Americans. We can do this. We just got to put our shoulder to the wheel, and there's going to be a whole lot of work involved. But tonight, I thought we'd start with talking about the absolute epic interview Tucker Carlson did on X. Let's get it ready to roll here. We're going to watch some of it. Hopefully we won't get sued. But, oh my geez, like I said, the internet was melting down. Now, I need to add these disclaimers. We love everybody here. Doesn't matter. To be quite frank, I don't have a choice. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ commands me to love everyone. So it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, trans, bi, non-binary. We love you all. So everybody, the only reason we're talking about this is the political aspect of it. I know I certainly don't care, and most people don't these days. Who you're diddling, who you're going on the old slip and slide with on Saturday night, nobody cares. Like I always say, if someone accuses me of being, a homophobe, I'll just say, hey, homophobe. I'm homo bored. Nobody cares. But why are we talking about this? I said from way back when, 2008, when President Obama was running, that, oh my geez, no matter whether you like President Obama or not, he's one of the greatest salesmen to ever live. He ran on a hope and change. And let's be honest, we're absolutely fair here. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat, so I'm going to go after both sides. President Obama was elected, had no experience, ran on hope and change. What is that? Fred, do you know what that is? See, to this day, no one knows. But George Bush had stunk it up so bad. He was such a bomb, no pun intended, that people said, look, we'll give this absolutely unknown a chance, because anything can be better than this Bush guy. And then 8 years later, people went, hey, look, this orange TV host, anything, we'll vote for that guy. Because we know that chick's a witch. This Hillary's a witch, and Obama just stunk it up. We don't want any more of that either. So now that I've offended everyone, but I'm just being honest. I mean, you got to be honest. One led to the other and to the other, and so here we are. But anyway, President Obama was never truly, ran through the old grist mill, as they say. They wanted to get rid of Bush, and here's this young, handsome black man with a beautiful family. And he was like right out of Hollywood, central casting. And they're like, this guy is going to be president. That's just the way it's going to be. And they're like, well, didn't he run around with terrorists? I don't care. Isn't it alleged that terrorist buddy of his wrote his autobiography? Oh, we don't care. Hey, there's a guy over here saying he smoked crack and had sex with him. Hey, look, man. Let's don't get bogged down in the details. You can kind of see here. And it goes on. Hey, isn't that the guy that hung out with Reverend, the anti-Semite, Farrakhan? Hey, look, I told you. You're getting into the details. Let's just go. And I'll show you some of those articles here in a minute. But anyway, this interview with Tucker, I mean, I was just like, oh my God. I remember when this guy came forward. He was on the mainstream media never covered this. But I'm a political junkie, as you might have guessed. And so he was on some, let's just say some backwoods shows. These are deep, way before the internet really took off, or at least YouTube and all that good stuff. So let's see if we can back this up, and let's make sure we got some sound.
In retrospect.
Okay, here we go. So I'll show a little bit of it, jump in and out. And while I'm talking, folks, if it's okay, since this is our first live stream, it's saying I'm dropping no frames. So that looks good. Okay. Let's okay that. I'm going to pull this over. Let's see here. If anyone's out there, let me know in the chat. If you can hear me okay, see me okay, that always helps. With that being said, we're going to let the great Tucker Carlson. Boy, this is a doozy. I got to say this too. You got to remember, President Obama, like I said, he's got a beautiful family. Now, leave his wife out of it for a minute. Again, whatever you think of Michelle Obama. But she's a wife. Can you imagine? This story now is everywhere. His kids have phones. I mean, I was laughing at some of the stuff, but then you're like, oh God, his kids. They love their dad. But first his wife. His wife's got to be. What the is Barry? Barack? Honey, he said, honey, it's Barack, you know that. Well, I don't know who you are. Why is this guy talking to Tucker Carlson? I mean, you can only imagine. Hey. It's like one of my favorite lines with President Trump when he said he went home after the P tape first broke. It was all these rumors. There was this Russian P tape. And he said, yeah, you don't know. Trust me. You don't know what it feels like to go home to your wife after that's in the news. And said as Mrs. Trump looked at him and when he got home and said, don't worry, Donald, I don't believe it. You're a germaphobe. You could never do that. So anyway, he tells the story much better than me, obviously. Okay, Tucker. Oh, let me finish that up. Sorry. I'm still laughing because I was online. And for the record, I sent my first so-called Twitter or X replies. And it was just brutal. This social media game, it's tough. It's not for sissies, but I love it. Woo-hoo-hoo! But yeah, I do feel bad for his wife and daughters. And again, this is all. We got to cover ourselves. Allegedly. Now, when I say allegedly, let me back up here. Let me see here. Let me see.
In retrospect, it's pretty.
Tucker, calm down. So I say allegedly, but please remember, let's see here. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, here we go. So here is, this is from the Megyn Kelly show. This is David Garrow. He was one of President Obama's biographers. And he's the one, more or less, I won't say unearthed the letters, but she's interviewing David Garrow in this piece, and he's talking about the letters that, he authenticated. They're real letters. They've been authenticated that when President Obama was young, he used to fantasize about having sex with gay men. Again, I don't give a flying flip. But can you imagine if a story like this, my whole angle on this whole thing is fairness. It's just fairness. If this would have been George Bush or Donald Trump or John McCain or Sarah, anybody, if it had been a Republican or a conservative, let alone Donald Trump, this would be, they'd be making movies about this. They'd be having, every Starbucks, they'd have a live mic night reciting these letters. But anyway, I was going to show this first and then show you the actual letters. But here it is. Obama's love letters from 1982 resurface. I make love to men daily, but in the imagination. Former president's love letters to his ex-girlfriend reveal his androgynous mind. I can tell you what Mrs. Davis would say. I'd get an androgynous skillet upside my head. But anyway, honey, I love you. Fred, quit laughing. By the way, I just want to say live in the air, we will eventually get Fred out here. A few of you sent me comments. Fred's shaking his head no. Hey, Fred! Hey! Now, we talked about this. Hold on, folks. Don't make me go, I'll go full Crowder on you. I will go Steven Crowder on you. What? Watch it? Watch it? I'm sorry about that, Fred. Sorry, everybody. I had 3 Monster Energy drinks and 2 Death Wish coffees before I came on live. May have been a mistake. Anyway, Fred, I love you. Please. Unfortunately, I don't think we can edit that out, but we'll talk about it later. I love you, buddy. All right, back to Tucker. Let's get back to Tucker. Here we go, folks. This is epic, and we're going to get you back to full screen. So I was just wanted to hit those 2 things real quick. So, again, as Tucker interviews this gentleman, there is an authenticated backstory. So this isn't like some alien just arriving out of the blue. So with that being said, Tucker, go.
Pretty amazing that Barack Obama got as far as he did. In 2004, the summer of 2004, Barack Obama gave the keynote address at the Democratic Convention in Boston. And when he walked to the podium, probably only a small percentage of people in the room knew how to pronounce his name. He was totally unheard of. No one knew Barack Obama. At the time, he was a state senator in Illinois. 4 years later, he once again spoke to the Democratic Convention, but this time as the nominee. Meteoric doesn't begin to describe it. How did this happen? Well, the outlines are fairly well known, though rarely talked about. A small group of Democratic donors, mostly in Chicago, decided that Barack Obama was their guy. He was the vessel for their ambitions. They paid for his campaign. They paved the way for his rise. He spent 2 years pointlessly in the United States Senate preparing to run for president in 2008, and of course, in the end, he won. But the question was, who was this man? Where did he come from? What did he spend his life doing before he became president of the United States? Well, the news media, whose job it is to answer those questions, spent the entire 2008 campaign trying to keep you from knowing the answers. By Election Day, most Americans knew only one thing about Barack Obama, other than he was handsome and a good communicator: hope and change. But they knew nothing about him, his origins, what he believed, and legitimate questions about those facts were turned away, as they often are, with the claim.
Just real quick, tonight on Rumble, General Michael Flynn was on a podcast and they were interviewing President Obama's older brother. If you get a chance, watch that. Woo! It's a doozy as well. Tucker, please professionally take us away. Maybe?
Claim, that's a conspiracy theory. You're crazy. Shut up. One of the most interesting moments in the 2008 campaign occurred when a man, like Obama himself, came from out of nowhere to recount his experiences with Barack Obama, the man. His name was Larry Sinclair, and he told an amazing story. He said that in 1999, he had encountered Barack Obama in Illinois, had sex with Barack Obama, and then used cocaine with him. Sinclair went on to make these claims publicly at the National Press Club in Washington, to sign a sworn affidavit, and to take a lie detector test. But he was dismissed. In fact, he was attacked. Obama shills like Ben Smith of Politico batted the claims out without refuting them. They're absurd. And the rest of the media followed suit. But the claims weren't absurd. We're not claiming they're true, but they were certainly credible. This was a first-hand account of Barack Obama's behavior by someone who was willing to sign a sworn affidavit to that effect. So the question is, whatever happened to Larry Sinclair? What's his life been like since? That's
Something tells me you may have found him, Tucker. Interesting. Go.
an interesting story. It turns out Larry Sinclair is still alive. He lives in Mexico. But today, he's in our studio, and we're happy to have him. Larry Sinclair, thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me.
Where did you meet Barack Obama?
It was by accident. I was in the Chicago area in '99 for Lee Duke's graduation from the Naval Academy.
Who's Lee Duke?
He's basically my godson.
Okay.
I had hired a limousine service.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Did you live in Chicago then?
No, I was actually living in Colorado. I had flown in the night before.
Okay.
So I had hired a limousine service, had made the driver aware that if Lee couldn't leave the base, because once they graduate, some of them actually get their assignments and they're shipping out and they can't leave the base, that I was still interested in going out. And had asked the driver if he knew anybody that was available that might want to show me, Chicago. And he said he did. So
Well, who was the driver?
his name was Jamir Motani. It was with 5-star limo.
So you're just a guy who's in town for the night, and it sounds like you're looking to party, actually. Yeah.
That's
what you're really saying.
Yeah. Well, I was in town for a few nights, but yeah, I was definitely looking to party. And
Did you make that clear to the driver?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. There was no misunderstanding.
How direct were you about that?
Extremely.
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 Okay.
Yeah. There was no doubt what I was looking for.
Okay.
And he picked me up at my hotel in Gurnee and drove into Chicago, pulled up in a bar outside, and there's this guy that's introduced to me as Barack Obama. It was literally that casual.
Had you ever heard of him?
Okay, folks, here we go. If there's any young ones in the room, you might want to make sure if you have kids up and it's 1:40 a.m., we need to have a serious discussion about parenting. But anyway, get their earmuffs on or scurry them out of the room, because here we go. Tucker, let's do it.
No.
Did the driver know him?
Yep. The driver definitely knew him because the driver said that he was a friend.
Interesting. How would the driver be friends with Barack Obama?
I only found out later, dealing with a reporter from Bloomberg News, that apparently the limousine company had been doing business with Tony Resco.
Oh.
That at the time was somehow.
I love that, Tucker. Oh. There's a whole backstory to Tony Resco. He was rather infamous in Chicago, but we shall let the gentleman continue his sordid tale. Go.
Affiliated
Was
with
in
Barack
Obama's
Obama.
orbit.
Yeah.
Yes. Interesting. So he knew Barack Obama, and in his view, Barack Obama liked the same kind of partying you were looking for.
Yeah.
Okay. So sex and drugs, in other words.
The sex part I wasn't so sure about until, of course, you make your move, but it became obvious very quick. The coke part I thought was interesting because of the way that I had brought it up.
So I'm stepping on your story. So you pull, and I apologize. So you pull up to this bar. The driver is basically scouting some dude for you to hang out with.
Correct.
There's this guy, Barack Obama. Have you ever heard of Barack Obama?
Never. Okay. Never. We're having drinks. I mentioned the fact that I could use something to wake up. I was extremely exhausted.
So you went into the bar?
Yes, sir.
What kind of bar was it?
I'm trying to remember. I've been trying to remember the name. I know that the glasses had 3 X's on them because I remember taking one home for a friend of mine.
But I mean, generally characterize it. Was it
it was
working class bar,
no,
gay bar,
upscale,
strip bar?
It was upscale, quiet. Wasn't really that really didn't have a lot of energy to it. It was more relaxed, more like a lounge as opposed to somewhere where people would go and get loud and crazy.
Yeah.
Which made it easier to talk. But like I said, when I brought up the fact that I could use something to wake up, he immediately knew what I was referring to.
I'm assuming it's not a Starbucks? Maybe? Okay, sorry.
Had made it clear that I was looking for coke, and I really was, and had made the suggestion that he knew where we could get it, and we left to go get it.
Interesting. Did he say what he did for a living?
No. I had no idea that he was a representative in the Illinois House. I had no idea he was in politics. I just knew that he was supposedly married and at the time was going through some issues with the marriage.
He said that?
That was made clear, yeah.
Huh. Did he say what kind of issues?
No.
Do you remember? No. So you said...
I just don't, let's see here. It's Saturday night. You and your wife get in an argument. It's one of those things where you go, well, maybe I should just go see a movie by myself. Nah. Maybe I should just go on a long, thoughtful walk. No. Hey, maybe I can pick up a gay guy and smoke some crack with him while we're driving around in a limo. Yeah, it sounds like a great idea. No, Fred, that's a joke. We'll talk later. Yeah, wow. So obviously, Barry, or I guess he said he was Barack by then. Barack was out on the prowl. Here we go. Let's say thank you to Al Pacino in Cruising. If you haven't seen that movie, it's a good one. Disturbing, but good. Tucker, take us away.
Said, I'm looking for someone to wake up. He knows you're referring to cocaine. I know where to get it. What happens next?
We get back in the limo. The driver takes us wherever it is that Barack had instructed him to take us. I had given Barack $250 to pay for coke. He gets out, comes back. I start putting a line on a CD tray to snort.
And you're in the limo?
Yep.
Driving or parked?
No, the driver's driving.
Yep.
I start to put a line on a CD tray, and I just happen to notice that he pulls something else out of his pocket. And next thing I know, he's got a little pipe and he's smoking. So I don't have an issue with it. I mean, some people smoke, some people...
I'll be honest, when he said he noticed he was pulling something else out of his pocket, I thought it was going to go in a much different direction. And we're back. Okay. Tucker, take us away. Go.
Snort.
Smoking the cocaine.
Yes. So as I'm doing a line, I just start, this is the part where you kind of make your move to see where things are going. So I just started rubbing my hand along his thigh to see where it was going, and it went the direction I had intended.
Boom, chicka, bow, bow. Man, I need some good music. Fred, you need to find us some good music. Let's go.
It to go. So the night became somewhat active sexually and drug-wise in the limo.
So you hit on him. Did he seem shocked by that?
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, if you're smoking crack with a stranger in the back of a limo, like, you got to imagine things might go crazy places.
Well, not only imagine it, I look at it this way. I've done a lot of.
Hey, like I said, we're going to be getting to know one another over the next few days, weeks, months, years. So this show here, there's no hypocrisy. I'll come clean. I love cocaine. I love hookers. Not gay hookers, but hey, God bless you. Whatever you're into, we love you. Come on in. We'll give you a big hug. Don't worry about it. But yeah, I mean, like 2 weeks. This is how the good Lord plays his hand. About 2 weeks before I met Mrs. Davis, forget Burning Man. I went to a figure eight competition, a demolition derby. On a Friday night, I woke up the following Monday under a 78 Ford Mercury red it was a Mercury Montego. I can see it right now. It was red with a black top. Okay? No shirt on. Someone else's pants. I had 1 empty bottle of Jack Daniels, two empty bottles of Wild Turkey, a crack pipe next to me, and a damn Taylor Swift shirt stuffed in my mouth. Yeah, that's a true story. Let me tell you, my grandma can throw a effing party. I love you, Granny. Anyway, Tucker, let's go.
Crazy things in my lifetime. I'm a pretty good judge of character, and I pretty much know whether or not I can move in a certain direction with an individual. I didn't feel that I was going in the wrong direction. I just wasn't so sure how much I could trust the individual
Right.
at first. And that was probably one of my bigger concerns. But the fact that I was already becoming somewhat buzzed, you kind of throw caution to the wind.
You weren't sure you could trust the individual. What does that mean?
When you meet someone out of the blue and you go to a level that you're doing drugs with, or you're giving money to purchase drugs, or even for sexual activity, you have to be sure that you can trust them. And when I say trust, I mean that you're not going to end up being robbed, or that you're not going to end up having a knife stuck into you,
right.
From one direction or another, or that you're not going to pull up somewhere and all of a sudden the car door is going to open and you got 5 people pulling you out of it.
Totally.
That's what I mean when I say.
I'll tell you what he means. Let's say you and this isn't me, if you're listening, Mrs. Davis. A very, let's say, close friend of mine, a very dear close friend of mine, was down in Tampa, Florida. And if you'd lived down that way, you all know all about Nebraska and Del Mabry. Let's say a very good friend of mine one Saturday night, Sunday morning was trying to make a score down there, and yeah, got two teeth knocked out, a broken jaw, 2 cracked ribs. Yeah, so you got to be careful. Yeah. Tucker's a good man. He seems like a very good man, but doesn't seem like he's been down on that Dale Mabry too many times, late at night, early in the morning. So, like when the guy's telling the story, Tucker's like, yeah, I have no idea what you're saying, but okay, it sounds very shady. Good, sir. Let's go.
Yep.
Say trust someone.
And you've been around at this point in your life, big time.
Yeah.
Right. So probably not your first time in a situation like this.
Not at all. And that's why I said I pretty much know where I can go and
yeah,
at what point.
So you start rubbing his leg, and I think, I'll just be totally blunt with you, like a man who's not into gay sex would be like, whoa, settle down.
Trust me, if it was something that you were not interested in,
yeah.
And you're right, I've had guys that I read wrong that would literally try to break your hand.
For sure.
If you went in that route.
There, Tucker comes alive. Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Why am I enjoying this so much? Is this wrong? Okay, I need to remember to stay back from the mic. Sorry, folks, but woohoo! It's getting good. Here we go.
So it's not like this was something that he wasn't into. It's
Yeah.
not something that he was shocked by.
Yeah.
Shocked by, you don't get excited and you don't unbutton your pants and you don't just sit there and let it happen.
Yeah.
So it definitely wasn't Barack's first time. That much I'm absolutely certain of. And I would almost be willing to bet you it wasn't his last.
So, so you performed oral sex on
I
Barack
did.
Obama. You did. In the driver's up front,
Yep.
and he's cool with this.
The driver has the partition up. He didn't have a problem with it. He didn't put it down for any reason.
I mean, he kind of set up the whole thing for this in the first place.
Exactly. And I have a funny feeling he had no bones to pick with it as far as what took place in it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he didn't have a bone. Yeah. Okay. Okay, maybe not, boy. Wow. Let's continue.
So what happened after?
Afterwards, I actually went back to my hotel. I had specifically asked that he drop Barack off first, but for some reason he and Barack chose that they would drop me off at the hotel first and then he would take Barack. So Barack actually made the drive out to Gurnee, which is a suburb outside of Chicago, to the hotel for me to be dropped off.
What hotel was that?
It was the Comfort Inn in Gurnee.
Ooh, that sounds depressing.
Well, you have to remember it was 99.
Yeah.
That's great. Tucker, that sounds... Hey, wait a second. Hey, that's my kind of place, Tucker. You know, who knows? This is long before I met Mrs. Davis, so everybody calm down. But, hey, Comfort Inn, some White Castles, some Boone's Farm. That's a rockin' night, brother. Woo! So don't be getting too snooty there, Tucker, with the Comfort Inn. All right, let's go.
Yeah. No,
And it was close to the Great Lakes Naval facilities.
yeah.
But I got dropped off. They left. The next day was somewhat interesting because he ends up showing up at my hotel room, which I thought was somewhat weird, but
He wanted some more.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say he showed up,
he showed up. I mean, I had no warning. I was in the room. There's a knock on the door. I open the door and he's standing there. And he's standing there with more Coke and he comes in and it was just like a quick, rehash or rerun from the night before.
exact same program.
Exact same program.
Was he smoking again?
Yep.
So Barack Obama smokes crack and then you perform oral sex on him.
And like I said, the only reason I had come out about it is I had reached out to the campaign even in 2007, only because I saw all these kids getting excited about it.
Okay, wait. So how did that?
Tucker, this is killing me. Tucker, wait, you gotta back up. Oh, this is too good. Fred, you still with me? All right, buddy. I think he's a closeted. Get it? Closeted? You get that, Fred? Fred's not laughing, or he's just doesn't think I'm funny. Well, anyway, I think I'm dead. Thank you. A little late there, Fred. Thanks for nothing. What do I pay you for? Anyway, enough of my interjecting. Tucker, let's go.
That end, like
Same way. You get off, you finish smoking, you leave.
thanks, bye.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. What did you think of him?
I thought it was interesting. I thought he was definitely a con. But,
What do you mean by that?
well, in my life at that point, you made it clear. I had already been around.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah. So when people are doing things because they actually really enjoy it, or they're sincere, or they're looking, for a connection, or they're doing something because they're looking for an in, or they're looking for a hook, or it's a game.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt that it was a game for him. It was like, okay, what am I going to get out of it? Or is there something I can get out of it other than just...
All right, so I think we'll stop it there. I think you get the idea
You know,
here.
the sexual part.
Again, hey, if that's what he's into, God bless him. It's just the hypocrisy. It's a fairness issue for me. It's like I used to be the biggest. I mean, the definition of the word fanatic. The biggest Eddie Murphy fan, would go see his stand-up. He made his bones early in his career making fun of gay people. And, I mean, just go... I'm long before Delirious, like his very, very first album. And then, years later, he gets caught with a transsexual prostitute. Or, again, who cares? But he made his money, a lot of his money and fame, making fun of gay folks all throughout his early career. And then all of a sudden, and some of you probably don't remember, but Eddie Murphy was pulled over, and he was in an area of LA that was known for its transsexual prostitutes. And he gets pulled over, and they let him go. They didn't get him for solicitation and the whole 9 yards. I forget the gal's name, but the point being, he comes back and says, well, hey, look, this made it into a big racial issue. He made it, I get it, you got caught being a hypocrite. He made it into a big race issue. And then you can look all this up. Most people, I was surprised. I was talking about this to some young folks one night. And they're like, why do you make stuff up? I'm like, go look it up. You all have smartphones. You're always fact checking me in real time. And they start, and they're like, oh my God, I never knew that. I'm like, yeah. So the LAPD had this ad hoc press conference, more or less, and just said, look, this wasn't the first time we'd pulled Mr. Murphy over in that area. And then all of a sudden, Mr. Murphy shut up real quick. It was very obvious what was going on. Again, if that's what you're into, God bless you, man. But, don't be making fun of people. Don't be a hypocrite. But anyway, that's my thing again with this. It's a fairness issue. And then tonight on Twitter, all the modern liberals who we've been told in this culture war, that, hey, you're born this way. It's genetic and blah, 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 blah. It's not a choice. And then, they're the great defenders of the pride flag. Again, hey, I'm with you. God bless you. But then, instead of just saying, like what I'm saying, hey, it makes me sad he was cheating. If this is true, it means he was cheating on his wife. And I'm assuming he was having unprotected sex with this gentleman. So you're cheating on your wife. 2, you can bring any and all kinds of diseases back to your wife. That's disgusting. You have no respect. So again, he was painted as this brilliant scholar, this family man scholar, and he was going to change the world, blah, blah, blah. And he was just a hack politician from Chicago that he was handpicked to be president. That's fine. That's fine. But again, this should have had a better airing. Just like this photo. I'm going to go ahead and cross this out. Here's the interview I was talking about earlier on Rumble. Malik Obama with General Flynn, and it was on the Thrive Time show. So if you get a chance, watch it. It's really good. They talk about this interview I was going over a little bit with Tucker. But as far as the vetting, of course, there's the love letters. We could talk about that. Megyn Kelly, yeah. But here's the picture. This is from the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Sammy, remember, talking to the microphone, you yahoo. And this is, could this long-lost photo have derailed Obama's 2008 campaign? Image might have fueled Obama Muslim narrative. Well, his brother in this interview says, well, I don't know about now or then, but back then, he goes, the one thing in the interview earlier with Malik Obama, he said, when I hear Americans, he goes, I know you're good people and you have big hearts, because he goes, as far as I'm concerned, my brother is Kenyan, spent a lot of time, and he's like, the last thing he really was an American, and yet you accepted him, and I'm not getting into the whole birther thing. But he was talking about, he spent a lot of time in Indonesia, And yes, he ate dogs. It's in his own book. Yes, President Obama, in his book, talks about eating dog for the first time, so everybody relax. But his brother was also making the point that culturally, and that was one of the selling points too, let's be honest, try to be fair, that he was well-traveled, he was multicultural, but to what extent? And his brother said, I never really thought of him as an American, but anyway, that's a whole nother issue. But this goes to the narrative that they were trying to kill before it ever got up and running. These pictures, and I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? If this picture would have been the Nation of Islam leader Louis Farrakhan, the anti-Semite, yeah, whatever. The guy's an anti-Semite. It's disgusting. I hate even bringing him up, but it's important politically because if these pictures would have been released, I don't think Obama would have ever been president. I just don't. And then there's another famous photo, and I didn't pull it up, but I probably should hold my tongue on this one. But there's another photo, and he was meeting with I think it was either from the Islamic Brotherhood or from the PLO. All right, I'm going to stop right there because I need to fact check that. But I know there was another controversial photo that was not released until well after he was president. And that would have definitely killed his campaign, because you got to remember, at the time, leading up to 2008, if you used his full name, Barack Hussein Obama, you were a racist. You were an Islamophobe. That's crazy. And then when he's sworn in as Barack Hussein Obama. Okay, whatever. But, But here, of course, we know about this. Obama and Bill Ayers together from the very beginning. And this is from The Hill, thehill.com. Talking to the microphone, Sammy. And, this isn't as easy as it looks, folks. You got to stay the right distance. You get too close, it gets all mushy. Too far, you can't hear me. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, the Bill Ayers story. Sean Hannity on Fox was about the only one that really dug into this. And people really didn't want to talk about it because they just wanted to stay with the narrative that this was a good young man, a good family man, this clean-cut guy that's going to change the world. He's going to, we're going to end the wars. No more foreign adventures. And I will shut down Gitmo. Remember this? And then he said what? You should not torture people. We are Americans. Now he has no problem incinerating you with a drone. That's a whole nother, we're going to talk about that maybe tomorrow night or the next night. All these games, him spying on President Trump's campaign, and yes, President Obama knew about it. He was right in on it. But now they're trying to keep, President Trump from running again with all this lawfare. Well, hey, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They're talking about sedition. I'm pretty sure if you check the U.S. code, President Obama, Vice President Biden at the time, and Secretary of State Clinton, yeah, we might just have a set of handcuffs for the whole lot of you folks. So let's just keep that in our pocket and keep it dry, shall we? But then, this is something no one ever talks about. If I have any Trekkie fans out there, Jerry Ryan, that was on I think it was Star Trek, The Next Generation. Her husband, if you don't know this, her then husband, was going to run for the Senate seat in Illinois. And they had some sealed court documents. And there were some pretty risky allegations. They were getting a divorce. They had the documents sealed. And then somehow, the documents were unsealed. Well, in this article, it goes through somewhat how supposedly these documents came to be unsealed. But folks, the old politicos say, around the old water cooler, that whether the Obama people or the Chicago people had a hand in it or not, they definitely, absolutely took advantage of it and used it, and because he was basically going to be the next senator from Illinois, but yeah, these allegations were whoo. Jerry Ryan, who starred in the TV show Boston Public and Star Trek Voyager, it said in a recent statement that she now considers her ex-husband a friend and has, I don't want to go into it because those poor people have been through, well, I say that and I just sit here and played an alleged gay lover talking about smoking crack with President Obama, so there you go. But yeah, these the Ryans were just humiliated. Again, they were going through a bitter divorce. There were allegations flying, but those documents were sealed to protect their family and their children. And then the court documents were unsealed. And again, the Obama folks and the Chicago Democratic Party says we had nothing to do with it. It was due to the stalker and blah, blah, blah. Whether that's true or not, all I can say is they sure in the heck did take advantage of it and used it to their great, great advantage. So there you have it, folks. Here's an article from Slate. Why unseal, and you got to remember, this is in Slate. Slate. And this is, they were trying, why unseal Ryan's divorce papers? This is basically a cover for the Chicago politicians and Obama. Neither Jack nor Jerry wanted them unsealed. What gives? There was no dirty laundry being aired here. I mean, the last thing Chicago's ever known for is dirty politics. Ah! Yeah, okay. Where their state motto is, vote early, vote often. Yeah, okay. But yeah, if you get a chance, again, I'll put the links to some of this stuff, if not all of it, in the description to this video. And let's see here. Let's see here. What do we got, folks? Let's see. I wonder, I forgot to ask Mrs. Davis what I'm going to be having for dinner tonight. Honey, if you're out there listening, watching, you could hit me up in the chat here and let me know. But anyway, let's see what, we'll play a little bit of this clip from Megyn Kelly. And again, this is how Obama's writings fantasizing about gay sex was suppressed for years with David Garrow. Again, this is just a fairness issue for me. And what I'm, if I can follow up on what I was saying about people on Twitter and just online in general, they were melting down because this stuff's coming out about their beloved President Barack Obama. Instead of just saying, so, I would just ignore it or just say, who cares? So the guy likes, a little wing-wang on Saturday night. Hell, who knows? Maybe his wife's okay with it, but like they're just falling on their sword and they're free. Ah! It's like a bad scene out of Braveheart. Freedom! They're all freaking out and defending it, screaming at people. It's hilarious. I mean, if that's what you truly believe, if they believe what they claim to believe, why are they freaking out and having a meltdown? You shouldn't. Say, hey, you guys are a bunch of idiots. Move on. Who cares? It's his private business. If he wants to be a dirtbag and cheat on his wife and smoke crack, that's sad, but hey, whatever. But hey, you guys bought the line of BS the guy sold you. We didn't, but anyway, let's hear what the beautiful Megyn Kelly has to say.
Burners. And that is, there was another girlfriend that he had whose letters with Barack were...
Just a tip for all the ladies out there. Look at Megyn Kelly, smoking hot, even prettier, honey, I love you, so calm down. But yeah, she looks a gazillion times better without that man do. With her long hair, hubba hubba. Here we go, Megyn, go.
Were produced to you. She gave you letters between the two of them, except for the one paragraph that would then wind up going public via other means. Via Emory University. You sent a researcher to go print what was in that paragraph. In the letters that were given to you, it just said a paragraph about homosexuality. This has made a lot of news, but it turns out that he was writing to his then girlfriend. This is...
Now remember, this is in President Obama's younger, and this is his biographer. Megyn Kelly's speaking with President Obama's biographer. Go.
back in the younger years, about how he had repeated fantasies of having sex with men. Now, what do you make of this? It's like, is Barack Obama a gay man? Is he a bisexual man? Like, what is your takeaway of the significance of that paragraph, and why she didn't want to produce it to you, and why no one's really gone there?
Hey, have you ever seen President Obama try to throw a baseball in mom jeans? I mean, really? Why is this a shock to anybody? Again, I love you, President Obama. Come on, I'll give you a big hug. We love you, but come on. Really?
On the reporting, even though it has been out there once it was made public via Emory.
Several things, Megan. Both Alex McNair, who was Barack's girlfriend 1981 to 1983, and Genevieve Cook, who was his girlfriend in New York in 84, 85, both shared with me all the letters that Barack had written them back then. Barack was very much someone who was sending handwritten letters and postcards, not just to girlfriends, but to other friends during the 1980s. This may sound very quaint to younger people today, who the idea of people actually mailing handwritten letters through the postal service.
This is how we used to have to do it. We didn't have email. We didn't have texting, right? Like, even when I got together with Doug in 2006, he would write me letters. I would write him letters. I mean, it's like not so long ago we used to do that.
So when I first went to see Alex McNair out Eastern Long Island, this would have been 2009, 2010, so Barack is president. So Alex let me read and take very detailed quotational notes from all those letters, but she redacted one paragraph, said it was too sensitive, draft that had been redacted from me. And so I asked one of my oldest friends, Harvey Clare, K-L-E-H-R, who's a very distinguished historian of American communism, has been a professor at Emory his whole life. I asked Harvey to go to the Emory archives, visit the Emory archives. They wouldn't let even Harvey make a photocopy of that page in the letter. And so Harvey had to copy down the missing paragraph, pencil and paper.
Okay, so I think you get the idea there. I just noticed I'm dropping a whole lot of frames. So better keel back on that. Sorry about that, folks. I just happened to look down and I saw that, so we'll have to do a little tweaking for the next stream. That is for sure. But we've been going for about an hour, and I'd really hoped to go quite a bit longer, but for whatever reason, and I just started dropping some serious frames. So I think I know what the issue is, but just to be safe, I better do. Sorry about that. If you're out there watching, please always let me know in the chat if I start glitching. Usually Mrs. Davis, when I glitch here at the house, she lets me know, but that's a whole nother issue. I said that's a whole nother issue. Okay. Well, Fred, you're killing me. You're just killing me. You gotta be awake, son. Ay. Okay. I know what you're probably thinking. And you'd be right. Hey, it's the first stream. Come on, cut me some slack. Okay. Oh, look at that. I just dropped all the way. All right, I better go. This thing is, it is not doing too good. All right, folks. As always, I'm trying to wait one last second and see. I don't think it's going to be. Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter. All right. Well. All right. Well, Sorry for, that was kind of rude, wasn't I? Just left you and I left Fred hanging. Sorry, I was trying to watch the stats there and see what was going on, but I don't think we can save this one, so I'm going to go ahead and sign off, folks. Thanks for tuning in, and as always, love the Lord with all your heart and love one another. And until next time, go!
Samuel Timothy Davis was left the stream.